a lot of controversy around how she lived her political life. I'm a real believer that the values that we hold are the politics that we practice. And I feel like it would go amiss to not mention the fact that she pushed against LGBTQ plus rights. There are a lot of people who won't be grieving this.
Nigel, do you think that's fair at a time when she's...
To be honest, I'm a bit shocked to hear that. I think that's completely inappropriate, and I think you will regret what you just said there.
I'm just stating the facts of her political
career. A lady
career.
has been murdered, and actually, on some of the things you said, there's lots of people really sad to be sitting on a chair here today.
I hear
next
that,
to you because
but as someone
I'm quite uncomfortable sitting next to you after what you just said. To be honest,
I hear that, but as someone who is queer,
these people are utterly disgraceful. They really are. A 78-year-old woman has been brutally murdered, and they believe she deserves no sympathy because she was a right-wing politician. Even when they say it's unfortunate she died in a violent way, they have to force themselves to say it. We need to understand these people are full of hate. They believe murdering people for their political views is a legitimate form of politics. Direct action, they call it. We saw the Green Party's reprehensible leader defend Palestine action when they attacked the police with a sledgehammer. Yet he wants people who post social media comments he disagrees with thrown in jail. These are not the nice, kind people they want you to believe they are. Some of them are dangerous extremists. This hideous Green Party woman on the panel mentioned Anne Widdecombe's views on abortion and LGBTQ rights. Well, has she asked all the Muslims in the Green Party their views on LGBTQ rights and abortion? Of course she hasn't, because the fact is she doesn't care, because they are a sacred minority group whose vote they need. So they're fine having all manner of extreme views. But God forbid a white conservative has any views she disagrees with, because then, well, they deserve to die. Look, I probably say inflammatory things when I'm angry or arguing with people in the heat of the moment. No one is perfect, and seeing another politician murdered makes me want to be more aware of that. But I've never wished death on anyone for their political views or celebrated the brutal murder of a politician because I disagree with them. That's a very dark path to go down. But that's the left for you. They believe their cause is so righteous, violence is justified. Listen to this.
Well, I think we can't be making these large swathe decisions on a bad apple. So I'm not quite that interested in talking about this person's one case. I'm interested in thinking about the NHS worker who came here.
If you were living next to him, you'd be wanting to talk about this case.
I'm interested to talk about the NHS worker who came here to plug the holes that we needed.
This is a loophole. Many parties now recognise there's a loophole here, and it's been exploited terribly in this case. I tell you what, my constituents don't want him living near them, and I think this is really, really important as well. We've got to close that loophole.
I agree,
whatever we need, whatever it needs to be done,
I feel like the fact that we're having a conversation about large group of migrants who have actually benefited this country positively, and then we smack on the end the story about the literal bad apple, it doesn't feel like a fair way to frame it.
That's why we're discussing it.
One bad egg. It's absolutely disgusting to refer to the Pakistani grooming gangs as one bad egg. I could say she's evil because her views on this subject are reprehensible. People like her are responsible for the cover-up and torture and abuse of countless young girls. Many people may say people like her deserve no sympathy if they were ever to be attacked because their vile politics led to the mass suffering of British children. I'm certainly not saying that, but if she feels like that against her political opponents, then they'll start feeling the same about her. Someone should have pointed that out to her. It's one thing making social media comments. People say all sorts of crap online without even thinking, and it's difficult to know if people genuinely mean it or not. But to go on live TV and sit there and calmly come out with all that is another entirely. She couldn't just say it's horrific she has been murdered. She had to point out her political beliefs. Why else would you bring that up at that moment unless you think she probably got what she deserved? Thing is, she's playing a very dangerous game, because I'd rather take my chances with some blue-haired left-wing students trying to kill me because of my political views than some real hardcore neo-Nazis. I know which I'd fear most. So maybe these people should dial it down and stop justifying political violence. Take a watch of this.
Yes, I think it's really interesting how people are responding. I feel it's awful that she was murdered in her life, especially being 78 as well. I think that's quite a sad way to go out. But yeah, I think there is a lot of controversy around how she lived her political life. I'm a real believer that the values that we hold are the politics that we practice. And I feel like it would go amiss to not mention the fact that she pushed against LGBTQ plus rights throughout all of her career. I would also feel like it's time to say that she also said a lot of things about the victims of Harvey Weinstein during the Me Too. She said they chose it upon themselves, and she was vehemently anti-abortion, which in this country is not such a political issue in the same way that it's in the States. So I feel like even though what's happened is absolutely awful, there are a lot of people who won't be grieving this.
Nigel, do you think that's fair at a time when she's...
To be honest, I'm a bit shocked to hear that. I think that's completely inappropriate, and I think you will regret what you just said there.
I'm just stating the facts of her political
career. A lady has been murdered, and actually,
exactly,
on some of the things
awful.
you said, there's lots of people, there's lots of gay friends of hers, she said, and I said in the comments, many of the points she made were grounded in her faith, her
I'm
beliefs,
also a Christian,
which
and I
are
don't
shared,
believe the
which
same
are
way.
shared. You may not, but respect her views. And respect many other people's views who fundamentally disagree with you. And I'm really sad to be sitting on a chair here today next to you, because
but as someone
I'm quite uncomfortable sitting next to you after what you just said, to be honest.
I hear that. But as someone who is queer, my rights has been affected by her speeches. She has been a part of reform, which, as someone who had to live through what was a race riots of last year, her actions have contributed to a lot of my community having very difficult lives. So yes, it's awful.
Shaking
she was
your head there.
murdered.
This has been playing
awful.
out. This kind of argument has been playing out on social media since the news of Anne Widdecombe's death, hasn't it?
Well, I just don't think this is the time or place. Of course, she, as I said, she had different views to us, but I think it's important that we are respectful given the circumstances in which she has passed. And it doesn't matter whether you disagree with somebody's views. The fact is that they've lost their lives, and we should reflect on the person that she was and what she brought to our country. And, you know, there are many things that I would disagree with her on, but certainly growing up in politics as I did, I still respected her right to those views.
I
think it's
respect her right to
incredibly
those views,
important.
but I
that we
also recognise
at this time, it's sometimes just important to stop and reflect.
It doesn't sound like you do respect her
No,
views.
I do, but I also don't feel the need to erase history. She did say those things, and as you said, she was a vehement person supporting her own opinions. And I can say the legacy that she's left has been a mixed bag for a lot of different people.
Well, that
does not excuse
there's a
the fact
time
that
and a
she should have
place
never
to
been
express
murdered.
those views and comments, and now is not the right time.
But we're talking about her legacy, so I think it is.